Today we're going to go over Laravel tricks. It's an old Titan project that needs some love. It was originally made by Stygius and Max Sergey in November of 2013. It was taken over by Titan about 7-ish years ago, and I'm going to rebuild it from the ground up while using the existing code base as a reference. And we're going to rebuild it with Laravel 11. We're going to keep it base stock Laravel. We're not going to use inertia. We're not going to use Vue. And as much as it pains me to say, we're not going to use Livewire. I think we kind of get hyped up by these new tools and things, and we forget how awesome Laravel is just at its core. And so we can actually get really far with just Blade. And let's do git clone Laravel tricks. Now we have a Laravel tricks repo. Wow, I can't type. Thank you, Warp. And let's just do Laravel new dot to make a Laravel new in this application. Let's do Laravel Breeze for a starter kit. Blade with Alpine. Yes, I want dark mode support. Why is that a question? Past PHP unit. I'm more comfortable in PHP unit because I've used it longer, but let's be spicy and use pest. Would you like to initialize a Git repository? No, because we already have one. And let's use SQLite until we have a reason not to. CD Laravel tricks code dot to open it in VS Code. It's Laravel 11, and everybody's been talking about how different the app structure is, and it doesn't look all that different to me. I guess the config is smaller, the app bootstrap is bigger. So let's do npm run dev. Now we have a nice new Laravel 11 app up and running. Yay. Let's actually open the old Laravel tricks. First, I kind of look at the composer JSON to see if there's anything of interest. We're using intervention image. I've never seen that before, so I kind of usually copy and paste that into the browser. Okay, what is it doing? It's an image processing library. Okay, cool. But it's also fun to look at different code bases to see what different people use, and I always kind of really enjoy that. Let's see. Collision, PHP unit, code sniffer, facade ignition, faker PHP. Cool. Next, usually I open up the routes file and see kind of what we're working with. We've got a trick pattern. We're redirecting the route to tricks. We have a tricks controller, getting tricks controller show, but the trick is optional. Okay. A tricks control. I don't like using non-conventional CRUD in controllers. So I do my best to keep it to index, show, create, edit, update, and delete. And then anything that doesn't fit into that, I put it in its own controller so that it can then fit into that pattern. There are exceptions to this rule, like everything. Get recent as browse.recent uses the browse controller. We've got categories, makes sense. We've got tags so that we can see a list of posts that work with the tag. Let's actually look at the prod site. So right now we're at tricks. If we click on, the URL, or if we just go to, it'll redirect to tricks like we saw. If we go to categories, we get a list of all the categories. And if we click on Eloquent, we see all of the tricks that were tagged with eloquent. Cool. But then we also have tags, which is kind of confusing to me because it's like we have a category and a tag. Aren't tags categories, or are categories tags? But like, why are they separate? That always kind of confuses me, but we'll figure it out. We've got a create new trick form, which requires a title, a description. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We don't. The UI doesn't really tell us if it's required or not. So once we look through this page, let's look at the controller to see if what is required. So we have a title, description, trick code, tag this trick. Okay. Categories. Cool. And then you've got my tricks. So I can click in on my tricks and see this. There's 665 views. That's cool. Categories, packages, configuration. Okay, cool. I can delete it, edit it. So let's go to the tricks controller and look at, okay, there's that like. Where is the create though? Maybe that's in API. Okay, there's nothing in API. So how do we create a trick? User tricks create. Okay. User tricks controller. So then we can see all of the users' tricks. We're passing in the tag list and the category list. Title, description, tags, categories, and code. So everything on that was required. It's interesting that like the title is unique. I think that makes sense. We're automatically generating a slug based on the title. Okay, when you click on a link, you go to the slug of the title rather than the index or the ID of the trick. Okay, I think that makes sense, and that's pretty cool. There's nothing like too interesting or unique. I think everything so far makes a lot of sense. We've got a user factory, which you have profile, you have many tricks, you have votes. Huh, what is votes? I don't think we've seen that yet. We saw a like on the tricks controller. Okay, so let's go look at the tricks controller and look at that like a little more in depth. Trick votes where user ID. Okay, so a vote and a like are the same thing. Potentially in the past there was like a up vote similar to Reddit or Product Hunt where you can upvote things, and then at some point they were renamed to likes. Usually when I do that kind of change, I like to change everything to match, but I also understand that like when you have a time constraint or you're not working on something all the time, you rename something in one spot and you just know that that's what that is. There's this vote cache. Let's take a look at the database to look at the tricks table. Okay, so we have an integer for the view cache or the vote cache. Okay, I think that makes sense. So rather than like figuring out that state on the fly, you just save it to the database so that it's easily queryable. So let's go back to that tricks controller. If you haven't voted in the past, attach a vote for this user, otherwise detach it. So essentially a toggle. I know like upvotes are cool for like sorting algorithms, but like, I don't know. I kind of just like I like this. It's more like a bookmark or a group. Like if it's highly liked, then you could be like, okay, other people like this, so other people kind of recommend this trick. And I think that's a useful kind of metric, more so than what's ranking highest at that moment in time. I want to make some notes. Let's go to the README, delete all this, make a Laravel tricks. We want to keep likes over notes. Make validation, wow, on creating tricks more obvious. We want to make validation errors red. So far, everything else, like, I want to keep the GitHub login because I think that's an easy way to log in. Overall, like, the UI is fine. Like, I think it's clean, it's to the point. I might want to modernize it-ish. We're gonna keep the, well, let's see, models. We want user, tricks. There was that votes table. What does that look like? This is honestly what me, like, familiarizing myself with a project looks like. It's literally like, oh, this is of interest to me. Let me go take a look at it. And just trying to figure out how things work and poke the browser a little bit and then go to the code and poke that a little bit and back and forth and back and forth. So yeah, okay, we have a tags table, which is just name slug user ID. That's interesting. So like the user ID that was like created the tag. Yeah. Name slug description. Okay, so you have a description of the categories, but you don't have a description of the tag. Interesting. We've got a votes table. Okay, it's just a pivot table. It's a named pivot table. So instead of using trick_user, they called it votes. And I think for us, we'll probably call it likes instead of votes. Let's add likes trick_user pivot table. We've got a user table, a tricks table, a likes table. Now, what are the other models we have? Profile. So the profile is just attached to a user. I'm guessing this is like more information about the user. Okay, username, name, email, first name, last name, location, description, image, URL, access token secret. I don't know. Like sometimes it's nice to keep this stuff separate from a user, and sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt. I don't know if we need a whole profile page. Like, I'm more inclined to link to my Pinkary, which has all my links to all my other things, so that I don't have to remember to update my information in another place. I'm kind of more in favor of keeping it simple, like allowing a link and maybe a description. And then if it's only one or two things that we're adding to the user, I don't feel so bad about just adding it to the user class. So we've got tables, we have a profile, maybe. Let's see, what else do we have? We have categories, tags. What is this Titan model? To route notifications for Slack, you need a notifiable. And a notifiable usually is a model. We get Slack notifications in the Titan Slack when a new post happens. We've got a to-do list, a user, profile details, keep a known model, or put it on the user. Potentially tidy up to only a URL and bio. Because I don't think we really need anything more than that. Tricks, we want to make sure that title cases matter, and potentially use form requests or package to ensure uniqueness of slugs. We have a likes table, which is a trick user, tags or categories, not both.